Welcome back.
It's snowing outside, Matt.
Yes, it's snowing very much outside. It's called a blizzard. Welcome back to the ESR. Mr. X joined by Benson. We're going to talk a little bit about Call of Duty, obviously.
Call of Duty.
I was reading the chat. You guys want to hear about Call of Duty? I love the CSGO stuff, though. It's such a great change of pace. What do you want to start with?
I actually want to start with some sad news for myself. If you missed it, if you lived under a rock this weekend, Swanee officially back in Europe, no longer part of the Optic Nation lineup.
It's a shame.
Yeah, maybe.
I love Swan. I think the opportunity that he had, I would definitely call it a success. The run that he had. I mean, he was arguably one of their better players. I mean, played fantastic when he was here. Online at UMG Orlando.
Right.
Just a tough one.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Optic Nation been playing with the roster of Karma, TP Miracles, and Killer. Whether that sticks or not, we'll have to wait and see. But speaking of Call of Duty action, kick things off on Saturday with the 2K. This was pretty interesting. Obviously, I was casting that one. Had a lot of people come on Skype.
We had a party. I tuned in. It was just chaos.
Definitely. I know you were watching at home. I have some top stories. Fecho. The team name Fecho. This is FaZe Elevate Justin Optic. Really smart team name, guys. Really good. Really good.
They became FaZe Red.
They did.
Second day.
So that's Sensor-Proof Classic instead.
I would keep your eye on that and see how that's going to kind of develop as we get up towards champs.
I mean, this team looked really good. I'm not going to lie. They were plowing through so many teams. Some early upsets, round 2 knockouts. AR knocked out by DT. AR really struggling.
AR had a rough weekend.
They
overall
had a terrible weekend, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Of course, they're a team struggling in the COD League, that's for sure. But even in the 2Ks and 5Ks, they seem to have some problems. But what's really weird, I'm being polite, what's really weird is, you go to an event like Orlando and they have the joint top team KD. Like,
mind-blowing. I think BL Fire struggles a little bit online. He went from, has one of the lowest KDs in the league to, carrying his weight, playing very well at Orlando. So I think that's where that comes into play.
Maybe. Although now, I believe, BL Fire has moved into a team house. AR announcing they had a team house, so getting their players in there and situated. Some other notable knockouts. Round 3, MLG 2K squad knocked out by DT. So DT already causing 2 teams to go out. There was Bose, Ricky, Moach, and Apathy. And Bose and Ricky, interesting combination of players. Obviously playing on Prophecy. We expected them to maybe look for other players, but after that they were like, hey, we're going to play with our normal team in the 5.
They seem like they're going to stick with that team as well. I saw Perplexed tweet out that he was kind of looking for a team for champs again. That would lead me to believe that Fierce and Legal are going to stick with their Season 1 team with Ricky and Bose, which I think is the right decision for both parties. I mean, you're playing extremely well in the league. You get all the practice from the league. Keep your seed, nothing changes. You don't have to worry about anything. It's a very good choice, I think, by both sides. And
continuing round 3 knockouts, we had 5 rings, aka the Optic Nation lineup that we were just talking about. TP, Karma, Miracles, and Killer knocked out by the Fecho lineup. Of course, that was Sensor-Proof Classic and Sturdy.
Yeah.
It was a tough one for this Nation team because it's kind of like, first real time they're playing together. You need to, have some time to get that chemistry. But round 3, Optic Nation continuing with those struggles. TK got knocked out by SB. That was a really, really shocking one for me. Yeah, TK in the team house. They're starting a massive run in the COD League. They're looking good. It looks like they're turning their fate around. Comes to the weekend, round 3, knocked out by SB.
I would say that's the team that got upset. I would say round 3 knockouts. That was by far the best team I think anybody went up against. I think.
Yeah.
You really couldn't say. I mean, it was definitely an upset. I don't think you can say.
I mean, the MLG 2K squad would probably be the biggest on paper.
That's true.
I mean, Rise knocked out by Envious. That's not really an upset, I guess. DT probably the only team that you
Rise knocking out Envy is shocking, though. Because Rise, they've been up and down since picking up Sender. They really...
No, Rise knocked out by Envious.
Oh, I thought you meant they got knocked out.
That's what it says.
I didn't really...
I
was just talking to you.
Words, text. See if you read it.
I was just talking to you.
Anywho.
Well, why would we cover that? That's not an upset. That's just Rise just losing like they always do round 3.
You wrote the script today.
Nah, Max did.
You wrote the script.
Max did.
Exactly. 2K Grand Final ultimately ended up with Optic Gaming versus Fecho. Of course, Classic Sensor, Classic Sensor Proofy Study. Really surprising. Optic Gaming, I was like, yeah, they're going to take it 3-0. peace out. I'm going to get home. I'll play some Destiny. Wasn't what happened. Fejo actually taking the 2K Grand Final.
They went down 2-0, if I'm correct.
They did. They did.
Make it all the way back.
And they went all the way back and clutched it up. And that set up for an interesting kind of storyline going into Sunday, of course, the 5K. If Optic Gaming were to win Sunday's 5K, they would have over 400,000.
Just think about how silly that is.
Over 400,000 pro points.
Who do we not know who's in second? I imagine it's either that FaZe
I think
team
it's still a... Oh, actually,
or
because the
Prop.
rosters have changed.
I believe it's FaZe.
I would say FaZe. Yeah, Parasite 8. Yeah, it'd be FaZe.
Right, because they have 2 players that have actually won an event.
Right.
And then Enable's played pretty consistent. Parasite's been around there too. So
yeah,
I would say those are probably... That's your second team, and I would say they're probably a few 100,000. Probably 100,000 behind.
They are like digging themselves a hole. Optic Gaming really looking very, very good. And then, of course, the 5K going over to that myself and Matt, who were in the office.
Good fun.
Having a good time. Top stories. After an upsetting loss to Fejo, Optic Gaming made an 0-2 comeback against TR in the grand finals. That grand final was absolutely
it was insane.
phenomenal. We didn't even get to cast it, though.
No.
Because we had an hour delay.
Yeah, we had an hour delay. We needed to... I think, well, when we left the studio, we were told that it was going to be a forfeit.
And then apparently
And then I got in my car, and TR's playing with Yuke.
Right. And he goes huge in game 1.
And he goes huge in game 1. If he doesn't go huge in game 1, that's a 3-1 Optic.
Yeah, of course. He really played very, very well. As we said, TR going 2-0 up. And TR's an interesting team because we kind of don't see them for a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden they come back and like, hey, grand finals, guys, don't forget about us. We're good at COD.
This was the new roster for TR.
Yes.
First event playing with that new roster. And they didn't lose.
They lost one map.
They lost one map before the finals.
And that was to Optic Nation, and that was a Hardpoint Solar. So they
looking
look very
strong.
good.
And they beat a ton of good teams.
Oh, they did. I mean, some notable wins: TK in the quarterfinals, Prophecy in the semifinals, Revenge in the final. So I mean, Revenge is Remy, Nagafin, Aqua, and Cento. Looked very, very good. They knocked out AR, Denial, Optic Nation, and SB.
Right.
So some huge names on that run to the grand final, and we would love to show you guys some VOD of that grand final, but as we said, we unfortunately weren't actually there. It was delayed.
Difficult to show you stuff that we don't have.
Interestingly enough, we were talking about how we figured that Fizz and Legal, they announced they were going to be playing with Perplexed and Vexed.
Yeah.
Perplexed saying he's a free agent now.
Right.
So does that maybe mean Ricky and Bose approached Fizz and Legal like, hey, let's
just stay?
That to me would make sense. I know you've been preaching that
I've been preaching
it
for a while. It makes a ton of sense. And we haven't seen Vexed really been playing that much in the weekend tournaments. Fears and Legal and Perplex usually always looking for one, trying to make something happen.
Right.
And it just makes sense. They're playing the league with that team. They're doing well. Ricky and Bose don't really seem like they have many other options. So the best option for both parties.
Yeah, so lots of action going on at the weekend. Of course, Pro League action is going to continue this evening, 7 p.m. Eastern. Going to be pretty intense game. Some of the matches that we have at 7 p.m. Optic Gaming versus AR. I mean, Optic Gaming already drew. They've already qualified. They're the only team to have qualified officially for Season 1 Finals. So, realistically, they don't even need to play.
No, they don't need to.
But it's AR.
They're going, I heard Krim talking that they're trying to get to 40 wins for the league. That I think they'd be allowed to lose one more game.
That's genuinely absurd. Justice versus Elevate. That one is going to be coming in at 7 p.m. as well. 8th versus 10th. Optic Nation versus Aware. Judging by ON's recent performances in the COD League, they seem essentially not to care at all.
Yeah.
So maybe look at Aware picking that one up. I mean, Aware in 7th. They're in need of wins. They're on that cusp. Rise in 9th versus a 3rd place Denial. We've been pretty impressed with what we've seen from this new Denial roster. I think a lot of people thought Envious was going to be the strongest squad between the two, but got to give Denial some props. And then as we go over to 8:30 p.m., Elevate versus Optic Gaming, Aware versus Rise. That's a big game as well. 7th versus 9th place in the league. Denial versus Justice. That's 3rd versus 8th, and AR versus Optic Nation. The
Justice dropped pretty quick.
Bottom teams. They did, right? They're on a bit of a plummet.
Yeah, and then I think the storylines to look out for tonight. I would definitely say, who does Optic Nation play with? Whether they play with both subs, whether they play with Felony and Sin, which I don't think so. When I watched them play the other day with Felony,
they look good. With
sounded like Damon didn't really like him too much, the way he was talking. So I can definitely see maybe Proof and Sin, bring back that.
Yeah.
How does Justice play? Over the weekend, they kind of split up, all went their own ways, so to speak. You know,
and that's the case with a lot of the teams. You look at like Elevate as well, right? A lot of these players have basically said, "Ha, you're not my team for COD champs. See you later." Yeah. How is that realistically going to affect a team in the COD League?
It's going to be difficult. I don't know if you're going to really give that 100%. You're always going to want to, get it done as fast as possible, go play with that other team.
You're going to say what I'm going to say.
What are you going to say?
You're going to talk about WoW.
Oh, it's going to talk about WoW.
You're going to talk about Lawless too, huh?
Yep.
Lawless
is he benched?
He is. He's officially
Is he officially benched? Okay.
Tweets out saying he's a free agent. Right. What does he realistically do now for the rest of the year? Is he even going to play? That's the big question, because of course WoW kind of went after the young team and then kind of messed it up a little bit. They have 3 young players and 1 over 18 player. Kind of screws over accuracy a little bit.
Spot.
Very weird. A couple of teams are in a similar position. Denial looking very strong. Can they pass Prof for 2nd place? I think they're going to struggle. I think Prof is going to continue with that rampage, in my honest opinion.
I think Prof is pretty safe for that number 2 seed, although Denial, they've been looking strong. That team, they just seem to get along and work. So I definitely thought when Clay got traded there that he was going to be resent somewhere else. I didn't think that was going to be
right.
I didn't think that was going to be something that lasted for a while, but I remember I think they did pretty well the first night in the league, or they did well in either it was a 5K they played with each other. They made it to the semis.
Yes.
They played pretty well, and then they started out the league, I think, together 3-0 or 4-0.
Yeah.
And then at that point, Clay was like, I might as well just commit. I can play the league with these players. I don't have to really worry about finding time to practice with another team. It makes a lot of sense.
Just going back to the point that you made earlier on about Optic Gaming's 40 wins. Yeah. They can only drop 1 more map. One more game. How possible do you think that is? Because that would be the most dominant performance the team has ever had in an MLG season. By a long way.
It's possible.
Who would you reckon they would lose the map to? Or lose the game to? You look at that league, and I think right now, with the structure of the teams, no one. Like
how many? It doesn't say.
Realistically, you think about it, right? All these teams that are making team changes of players that are playing on this team just because they're in the COD League.
Well, who's beat Optic Gaming? Justice beat them first night.
And they lost twice with a sub, though. That was when they were playing with Ambos.
And Rise.
How Rise won that, I'll never know. Yeah,
and they're done playing all 3 of those. So
I think it comes down to,
honestly, Denial.
I think it honestly comes down to how seriously are they going to take it.
Oh, they're going to go hard.
But as in, are we going to see days where Scump's like, yo, I'm taking today off?
No.
Because they can afford to do that.
They're not. Crim,
no?
Crim, he seems very determined on doing this.
To be honest, I really...
Using a lot of words we can't use here.
Oh, really? Wow. So, Crim making that his goal. I personally think it's completely possible.
I mean, they could finish... Somebody in the chat just made a good point. They could finish 41-3. How silly would that be?
That's silly. That's very
silly.
For now, guys, we're going to go to a commercial break. But when we return, we have some awesome news for all the COD eSports fans out there. So, make sure you tweet out the stream. I'm going to tweet it out as well in the commercial break. Matt's going to tweet it out as well. Get yourself some popcorn. Maybe get a drink. You're going to be excited. For now, commercial break. We'll be right back.